In an unprecedented move, the United States has deployed 700 Marines to Los Angeles as protests over aggressive immigration enforcement erupt for a fourth straight day. With tensions rising, police clashing with demonstrators, and federal lawsuits flying, America finds itself once again grappling with the limits of presidential power and the meaning of justice on its own streets. It all started with a new wave of immigration raids in Southern California, part of President Donald Trump's renewed effort to detain and deport thousands of undocumented immigrants. For many, it was a shockwave. What is happening affects every American, everyone who wants to live free, regardless of how long their family has lived here. By Friday, protests had begun outside a federal detention center in downtown Los Angeles. People demanded the release of immigrants being held. Their rallying cry, "Free them all." But the protests didn't stay peaceful. Over the weekend, tensions escalated. A few protesters clashed with police. Property damage occurred. Several self-driving Waymo vehicles were set ablaze. By Monday, the unrest had spread to at least 9 other cities nationwide, signaling widespread anger over what many see as the administration's overreach. The Los Angeles Police Department, along with National Guard forces already in place, began pushing back hard. Officers fired so-called less lethal munitions, tear gas, rubber bullets, and flashbangs. Less lethal munitions may cause pain and discomfort. By Monday afternoon, officers were dealing with protesters throwing eggs, paintballs, and other projectiles. 5 LAPD officers and 5 police horses were reported injured over the weekend. Yet, demonstrators held their ground, calling for justice, immigration reform, and the end of federal raids. In a dramatic escalation, the Pentagon confirmed that 700 U.S. Marines would be deployed temporarily to Los Angeles to support the National Guard. These troops are not tasked with direct law enforcement duties, at least not yet. According to the Department of Defense, the deployment is intended to provide logistical support and deterrence until the number of National Guard troops is increased from 2,000 to 4,000. It's not the first time Marines have been used on U.S. soil. They've been deployed during major disasters like Hurricane Katrina and after the 9/11 attacks. But using active duty military near civilian protest zones, that's rare and controversial. Federal law typically restricts the use of active duty military for domestic policing. The Trump administration has not invoked the Insurrection Act, which would allow Marines to take a more direct role. In response, California Governor Gavin Newsom filed a lawsuit Monday to block the federal deployment of the National Guard and Marines, calling the move illegal and a violation of state sovereignty. The level of escalation is completely unwarranted, uncalled for, and unprecedented, but President Trump doubled down, saying he had no choice but to ramp up enforcement to keep order. He even endorsed the idea of arresting Governor Newsom for allegedly obstructing immigration enforcement. "I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great." Democrats slammed the move as a gross abuse of presidential power. Critics fear this could set a dangerous precedent: military force used to quiet civilian dissent. This isn't the first time the military has been called into Los Angeles. In 1992, after the acquittal of officers who beat Rodney King, the city erupted in riots. Then Governor Pete Wilson requested federal military help, and President George H.W. Bush deployed troops under the Insurrection Act. More than 50 people died in that 6-day rampage. The trauma still echoes today, and many fear a repeat. So far, the current protests have led to dozens of arrests and property damage, but not yet the full-scale violence of 1992. Still, the sight of Marines deploying in a U.S. city has triggered alarm bells. At the heart of this crisis is a renewed push by Trump to deport record numbers of undocumented immigrants, aiming for 3,000 arrests per day and a near-total lockdown of the southern border. Trump blames his predecessor, Joe Biden, for what he calls a border disaster, accusing Democratic-led cities like Los Angeles of harboring illegal immigrants and interfering with federal enforcement. But for many Americans, These policies are deeply personal about families, freedom, and the future of the country's moral compass. As Marines prepare to roll into Los Angeles and protests continue across the nation, one question looms large. Are we witnessing a turning point in American democracy, just another moment in a long, painful history of conflict between power and the people? Stay informed, stay aware, and most importantly, stay free. Don't forget to subscribe to Dynamic Trends for more breaking news, in-depth analysis, and powerful stories that matter. Check out the link in the description for 10 must-have Amazon products inspired by today's video. Stay informed, stay ahead, stay dynamic.